everyone, my name is Ninuk Wihartami, and today's video I will discuss the outline that I've made after I watched a video from Dr. Will Baker from University of Southampton about English as a lingua franca. So let's get started. In his video, Dr. Will Baker states his simple definitions about English as a lingua franca. So English as a lingua franca is the use of English between speakers who don't share English as a first language. So English is a medium or contact language for intercultural communication. The positions of native speakers of English are not the majority of English as a lingua franca users. The kind of communication that get in English as a lingua franca is not follow native speakers like English. The reason why we need to be interested in English as a lingua franca is the numbers of speakers of English as a lingua franca, or the users of English as a lingua franca. They estimate to be around 2 billion users of English around the world. So that's between around 1 and 3 and 1 and 4 of the populations of the world can use English at some level or for some function. It is important to know the implications of English as a lingua franca. The English is no longer centered on the Anglophone world and native speakers countries such as UK and US, but now has spread around the world and the users of English as a lingua franca. It is also important to know the differences between English as a lingua franca with other fields. For the first one is the differences between World Englishes and English as a lingua franca. World Englishes studies about the varieties of English. For examples are Indian English, Singaporean English, and Nigerian English. But English as a lingua franca is not about the varieties of English. It is about the use as contact language or language intercultural communications, which is concerned with geographical and national locations and users of English. The second is the differences between English as international language and English as a lingua franca. English as international language often described as a form of international English or varieties English. But English as a lingua franca is not varieties English, and certainly not an international variety. The last is the differences between English as foreign language and English as a lingua franca. English as foreign language is communications between the non-native speakers of English, native speakers of English, where the non-native speakers are expected to confirm and adjust their language to native speakers. But English as a lingua franca can involve the native speakers, but they're not the majority, and the focus is on the intercultural communication, so the non-native speakers are not expected to adjust or adapt their English to native speakers. English as a lingua franca began in the early 2000s with 3 researchers who are sometimes referred to as the mother of English as a lingua franca. The first is Jennifer Jenkins from University of Southampton. The second is Barbara Seidlhofer from Vienna University, and the last is Anna Mauren from University of Helsinki. So that's all for English as Lingua Franca discussions. I do apologize for all my mistakes in this video, and thanks for watching.